Hi everybody, welcome to a spotlight on design for film. We're going to have a brief overview with some of our lecturers from the course, and then we're going to have a Q&A with some of our student ambassadors as well. My name's Sonia. We have Julian King, Liam Duna, Paul MacDonald, and Elaine Sisson here with us this evening. So in the questions or the chat function of the webinar, you'll be able to put in your questions and we'll answer them at the Q&A portion. We hope to get through all of the questions this evening, so please bear with us. And we've got we've got a lot of people in there now. So I'm just going to turn off my camera and can you see the presentation? Liam?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd say you're good to go now. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Okay, hi all audience, good evening. Welcome to the presentation for Design for Film, a brand new program in IADT, the Department of Design and Visual Arts. My name is Julian King. I'm a lead lecturer in that department, and I have some colleagues here, Liam Duna, Elaine Sisson, Paul MacDonald. All of us are lecturers on the various programs that have been amalgamated together to bring them together to make the new Design for Film DL845 CAO number program. It's a 4-year honours degree program, and it is designed to produce graduates that have a high degree of practical experience in the various parts of the creative effort that go into making film and games and other media interactions. So I'm just going to briefly go through this very short 4 or 5 pages of information. You'll be able to see it on the screen, obviously. I'm just going to talk through it very quickly, hitting some points. All the dates can be found on the IDT website, and you can get them afterwards as a PDF as well. So just to briefly go through that. So Design for Film is a brand new program. It's a 4-year honours degree program, and you are going to need a portfolio to apply to it. It is application is via the CAO before the 1st of February 2021. Portfolio deadline following that is the 18th of March, and we will come back to the portfolios later. There, obviously, it's important that you know what the best manner and means and style of portfolio it is to present to get the best results for yourself. Virtual project days are an alternate means of engaging with the course and possibly obtaining a place on the program, and they run from the 15th, 16th, and 17th of February 2021, and all of these basically can contribute to the allocation of points for each submission by you students, and then added to Leaving Cert results. You get graded. So next slide there, Sonia, please. So show us what you can do. A portfolio is a collection of work that showcases your interests and ability. And we want to see evidence of creativity, curiosity, inventiveness, and ideas. Selected themes is a great idea to have in a portfolio to tell a story, and we're looking for those markers of energy and enthusiasm. So really what it's about is your opportunity to tell us visually what kind of person you are, what kind of a creative individual you are, what it is that excites you, that has attracted you to a life of creative endeavor. And you can do that very easily using your talents and showcasing your talents in a portfolio, in a portfolio to show us what kind of individual you are as a creative. So the format of it, obviously this year, things being what they are, is an online format. So it will be, it's different to the normal course of events where people would have physical printed work or stuff in an actual portfolio that we would then be looking through in a large room in the college. It's a different methodology this time. It will be all online. The portfolios will be submitted by you online. They will be reviewed by lecturers online, and they will be awarded marks in the same way. So really, it's in one way it's slightly easier, it's less inconvenient, and etc. But that's it. So portfolio tips: be organized and selective. Present your work clearly and cleanly. Work can be finished and work in progress as well. You can show large work, sculpture or large paintings, as photographs. You can include almost any work that you've done, that's a work of your own manufacture, your own hands, your own ideation, course, school work, your own work. And what we're really looking for is a demonstration of creativity, inventiveness, and ideas worked around selective themes, including sketchbooks and backup notations, CV, etc. You need to put a 3 CV in it there as well. One thing that's really powerful is to show process pages. So a page where you have a final project on, on one part of the presentation, and then how the story that led up to that, from an initial sketch in a notebook to planning about how you might make it, to the process of making or manufacture or whatever. So, and storytelling as well. We're really interested in those key themes of characters and inhabiting environments coming alive, being brought to life, all of that good stuff. So that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for examples of your, obviously your physical skill as well, your talents, your know-how, your understanding, your ability with your hands. Don't make a portfolio. We'll come back to that later. We'll have student representatives who'll be able to give you first-hand experience of the portfolio, of preparing a portfolio, how they did it. And they're going to be a mine of information about both the program and the portfolio process. So do you want to throw up the next slide there, Sonia? No, there we go. So yeah, there we go. Same again, portfolio that demonstrates visual skill, creativity, self-motivation, inventiveness, experimentation, flexibility, and stylistic variation. Technical ability is important, but is trumped, unfortunate word, by a creative streak. So what we're really looking for is that your story as an individual, what you're going to bring as a unique person to your studies at IADT and the journey that you're going to start over 4 years. So, do you want one last slide there? Is that a second from last? I think this is it. Sorry, no, there we go. Next one. Sorry, Sonia, excuse me. Yeah, that's it. Virtual Project Days. So I'm going to hand over to a colleague to talk about the Virtual Project Days. My colleague Paul there.
Hi, everyone.
That's it. So you get a brief. I'll just read out this very quickly. You get a brief on the website. Work on some of it at home first. So some of this work is done by yourself, self-directed. You then need to show your research and development. There's an online workshop day to complete during the midterm. And then you upload this via the online platform to IADT. And you can get a score based on that. So, and the maximum points you can get is 600. So I'm just going to pop that over there to Paul, if you want to say a few words about the project day process.
So lads, you can, as Julian said, you can either enter the program through a traditional portfolio, or we've opened it up so that you can enter through a virtual, well, usually it's a project day that you actually come on campus. You get to deal and speak to some of the lecturers, work in the space. Obviously, in the times that are in it, it'll have to be virtual. But it's a time and a space within quite a short period of time that we'll give you a task, and we'll see how you respond to that task. Now, don't look at it as an exam. Don't look at it as a test. What I would suggest is that it shows who you are, and be as natural as you possibly can with that. Sometimes on these project days, yeah, it's like, being on having your leaving cert exam and you're all nervous and stuff, but literally we're just humans and we want to have a conversation, and we want to see and hear what spark is inside you and why you want to be here. And sometimes we as lecturers, we can see the love or enthusiasm that is there, and okay, you might not be showing it in a portfolio, you might not be able to show it on the day, but we can see things that maybe you haven't shown, and it's an alternative way of getting in. Can you apply for both? Can you put in a portfolio? Can you do a virtual day? You can. Well, I have to say, a lot of people, I think you're the only one that can answer this, really. Yes, you can do a project day coming from school. You can do a project day coming from a portfolio course. But speaking to some of the first years, I teach a lot of first years, and you have to answer this question yourself. Are you prepared? Do you feel prepared when you're leaving school to be able to come to a third level college? Do you think you would be better off spending a year on a portfolio course and therefore either mature as an artist or find out who you are as a person before you come to college? You don't have to do that, but in my experience of talking to first years, a lot of people say that it was good to do that. But if you feel that, yeah, I'm a mature individual, I think I'm up for this, and I have done my leaving, but hadn't necessarily time to spend time on a portfolio. I'm going to go ahead and do the virtual project day. That's what it's there for, and it's similar to the portfolio that you will be awarded 600 points max. That will then be added to your Leaving Cert points or FETAC points, and that will give you your overall mark. So if there's any questions, people could ask it about that if they wanted to.
Yeah, we'll just sorry, just to get that, yeah, the questions, that was great, and that's exactly it. The only, as far as I understand it as well, you can, am I right in saying you can do a project day and a portfolio day and pick the best mark? I think, I'm not sure.
Yes, yeah, like in the past, it was that people would do portfolio, and people maybe got better marks in the portfolio than on the project day. You go for the higher grade. You could pick.
Yeah. So just to really, that's the ways you can apply to the program. Just to clarify as well, that, because I may actually have skipped over it briefly, but the amalgamation of programs that led to this design for film program are the amalgamation of the 3D design, model making, and digital art, and a suite of programs called Design for Stage and Screen, which were production design, costume design, and makeup character design. So all of those elements and activities and careers are now merging into the one program, but they will all be represented. They will all be taught. You will get access to all of the knowledge and experience of all of those previous programs on this new Design for Film program course. All right. So just all those dates are there. They can be found on the IDT website, all those important dates for application dates and portfolio dates, program dates, etc. It's the final one there. So really, I suppose the only thing to do, yeah, is just to open it up and see what people want to say, you know, about and field questions.
So we have a question from Isabel Lord. She would like to know, Liam, is production design similar to set design?
It is remarkably similar. I would even go as far as to call it identical. There's two different terms that get used in the industry. Set design tends to get used when we're talking about theatre practice, and production design tends to get used when we're talking about film and television and things like that. But actually, we use them fairly interchangeably, and the core skill set is essentially the same. So yeah, Isabel, they are very much the same thing. And of course, one of the things you discover on the program is that we look at, whether you want to call it set design or production design, we look at that practice across a wide range of areas and activities: theatre, of course, film, television, and into some applied contexts as well, kind of processional work and things like that. So to underline what Julian and Paul have just been saying, the old pathways that people might be familiar with, model making and character and costume and production design and all those things, they still exist substantially in the same way. Actually, what's changed is this idea of people coming into a common program with a common first year, and then breaking into those pathways a little bit later on in the course, sort of during the second year. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I mean, there was always a degree of, kind of swapping and changing when people came onto the old pathways anyway. But it does give people the opportunity to kind of go through a sort of a diagnostic experience in the first year and get a feel for what the different opportunities and possibilities are. But we can still provide those specialist pathways a little bit further down the line. And set and production design, absolutely the same thing. And one of the finest things you can spend your prime years doing, learning all about
Liam.
working in the theatre and film. Yes.
Liam, sorry, there's a follow-up question there that you might actually go in and answer. It says, what kind of work do set design students do, and what is a day in the life like? So
Okay,
maybe you might want to.
That's a great question. So what set designers do is think about, if you like, the kind of the spatial or the architectural world that an event is going to happen in. So, they're interested in interior design, in architecture, in the spaces of performance. What kind of work do they do on the program? Well, they do a lot of practical work. In other words, kind of realizing spaces that performance happens in. So, that might be working on a piece of opera in the theatre. It might be working on a TV show in the film studio. It might be working out on location on a graduate film with the film school. Whole variety of different things. And then in support of that, they do all the kind of learn all the kind of essential creative skills that set and production designers need. And that's everything from understanding how to read a script and break down a script so you understand what's required of it, how to previs the text in terms of models or AutoCAD visualizations, whatever's appropriate, all the business of technically specifying that world so that a workshop can build it. So there's a whole raft of kind of creative and let's call them imagineering skills that are about thinking what that space needs to be, getting it to work dramatically. A whole load of technical skills, which are about putting a workshop and prop makers and other people in a position to be able to actually make it and stand the thing up. A whole load of collaborative and team working and cooperative skills, because everything you do as a set designer, as a production designer, you do it in partnership. You do it in partnership with costume people and character people and model makers and lighting designers and directors and actors and a whole range of things. So one of the things that underpins the whole experience in terms of the data, what's it like on a day-to-day basis? Well, actually, often it's very collaborative, actually. You're kind of negotiating your work and your creative outputs in relationship to what other people are doing. And it's a balance then between the practical thing of actually making work happen. It could be anything from a piece of puppetry in the first year through to a fairly sophisticated short film in the final year. And we're balancing out those components. So you build your kind of creative muscle and your interpretive muscle, build your technical skills, and build those crucial kind of interpersonal, discursive, negotiation, collaboration skills that mean that everybody arrives at the finish line in the right order and at the same time. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to change the program around a little bit, actually, and set it up in a more kind of collaborative, merged way. If you're going to work in any of these disciplines, you work in theatre, film, or television, or any of those activities, you're going to be working collaboratively. You're going to be working as teams. And I think, said it somewhere in the publicity or the website or something, if you can practice that business of developing your creative skills and bringing them to bear in that kind of team environment, that's exactly where you need to be for making a career out of this thing. It's a deeply collaborative activity. And a highly skilled activity. So you have to have the individual skills of the model maker or the costume designer or whatever it is, but you have to understand how that connects in with what everybody else is doing. So, these are large, complex projects that we're working on very often. So team skills are a crucial element of that. Just to say, it's not. No, carry on, Julian.
Oh no, just to make it clear, I think, because again, I may have glossed over this earlier. It's just to make it clear that the idea is that there will be massive amounts of cooperation and collaboration in the latter half of year 2, 3, and 4, but that you can graduate from this program as a model maker, a character design artist, as a costume designer, as a set production designer, and a digital pathway as well, VFX games. So, and I just noticed there's a question there about can you focus on that? You can indeed graduate as a digital character artist if you wanted to, but among many of the pathways that are available to people on the new program. So
that's a good question about portfolio focus. Is that the one you're just going to mention, Paul?
Yeah, that one first was the portfolios. What should they focus on? Showing their enthusiasm for one component of the course. Should it be just costume? Should it be just character? Or should you show versatility of work, multiple components?
So I think one of the things that people inevitably get chewed up about is this blooming portfolio. And actually, I think when some of the student ambassadors come in, they'll be really helpful in terms of talking about the way that they handled it. Actually, either is fine. You know, you may already be quite focused into a particular area, and of course, your portfolio should demonstrate that interest and that enthusiasm and that aptitude. I would just say that, you know, as part of the learning here, you're going to be exploring a lot of different things, especially in the first year and a half, going to be trying out different things, exploring different fields. So we're really interested to see that people are open to new ideas and open to trying things out, and quite like, you know, experimenting and exploring with new ideas. So I would try and be a little bit open about your interests. Absolutely demonstrate that expertise and that particular enthusiasm, but show us a range of work as well, because it's, you know, it's good to kind of feel that you're working with people who are really kind of open-minded and flexible and adaptable and like trying new things. You know, they're kind of core skills for us.
This is an interesting one, and this probably is why we sort of open up the course to design for film. Can you focus or specialize in digital art or character design aspect? But like what, Julian, there's always been the physical and there's always been the digital. But I suppose, I don't know if they're asking that question, but we're trying to give both experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like, it's related to the last question there as well. Is this a suitable course for someone interested in concept art and design for film, video games?
Yeah.
Now, concept art, possibly, yes, without a doubt, but it's not focused. It is about the three-dimensionality of it. It's about the production of all of that. So it's more than illustration, shall we say, or just that narrow understanding of concept art. But it is related, and absolutely, yes, you would be expected to engage with character design both physically and digitally. Even if you stream, you will have experience of both. So absolutely. That's the way we want everybody to be able to engage with the course. And also, as Liam said, enter the course with preconceived ideas. You never know where you might go, what may flower you know, in you, or you may decide to be engaged with or excited by as you progress.
I think that's a really crucial point, Julian, because, you know, the thing that we all need to bear in mind is that, you know, things change pretty rapidly in this industry. You know, it's when people of my horrendous age started in this game, you know, actually digital was a rather abstract notion. I mean, photocopying was quite exotic when I started. And it changes and it develops at a really advanced rate, and so do you. You know, as people who come to study with us, your ideas and your enthusiasms kind of grow and change a little bit, and the program is really intended to help you with that. So, you know, whatever you might think is a sort of ideal outcome for you at the moment, during the program, sometimes that thinking can change. Certainly, the opportunities will change, the professions change and mature, and what we're trying to do, regardless of your specific area of interest, if you like, we're just trying to set you up with the best possible raft of skills and the best possible network and set of insights to be able to bring whatever your talents are to bear on the career in sort of 5 years from now, 4.5 years from now.
This is a I don't know how fully know how to answer this one. What are the modules on the course? Well, the first thing I think that everybody should be aware is that their first year is a common year that everybody will come into, and whether your focus is costume production, digital VFX, whatever that is coming in, you'll be exposed to all within the first year. And it's sort of similar to probably what we're doing. We've done that in design for stage and screen. And it doesn't really matter what discipline you are. You will the focus will be on pretty much storytelling and how we do that in its multiple formats. What are the modules on the course?
There is actually a full listing on the website.
Design for frame, design for text, design for etc. There's a number of things that the details of that can be found on the website. To be honest with you, the best way to go with that. Yeah.
I suppose the important thing that to kind of think about just in terms of the modules is that there's kind of just forget about the specific module titles for a minute. There's kind of things that you focus on as you go through all 4 years of the program. There's what you might call the conceptual and the creative, kind of developing ideas and being visually creative. Then there's the development of more kind of technical and craft skills, the ability to work with specific media or to go through specific processes. So, pattern drafting for historical costume is a specific craft skill. The costume people would go through. There'd be particular things in all the areas which are kind of technical skill bases. So there's the creative, the conceptual, the technical, and the skill base. And then there's the work which Elaine and others will do with you around the critical and the historical and the philosophical aspects, subjects, if you like. So the thing about the modules is what they're intended to do is to give you a really kind of rounded experience and a rounded sense of your specialism, how it relates to a lot of other specialisms, and then how that all fits into the larger world of art, design, and media and cultural practices.
Absolutely. It's important to also understand that the collaboration will bring out new projects that everybody will be working on together. Do you know what I mean? And new and exciting ventures between people and etc. Just to reiterate, where does all this lead when people graduate? One of the fantastic things about this program and the programs that preceded it or went into the making of it is the array of possible employments that are available to people after you graduate. The set of actual practical real world skills, the design understanding, the conceptual ability to generate ideas make our graduates, and have made our graduates in the past, invaluable among employers and highly sought after in the various creative fields. That sales pitch, I think might be a good time to hand over to the student reps. Would that be a
Yeah.
time?
Come on in.
First-hand experience of life and day in the life of IADT.
Do you want to put your cameras on, lads?
If you just introduce yourselves, guys, I suppose one at a time, and
Saoirse, you kick off.
sorry.
Yeah, my name's Risha. I'm in my 4th year of character design.
Sally.
I'm Sally and I'm in my 4th year of production design.
Alexandra.
I'm Alexandra and I'm in 2nd year model making.
Great.
It's a bit like University Challenge now.
It is, yeah. We can throw things at people now.
Yeah, indeed. So, like, for instance, Saoirse, do you want to give a brief like description of your year 4 experience, even? Do you know what I mean? Or maybe the pathway that led through, the program that you were on. I know you won't have done the new program, but elements of what you've experienced will be integral to what people will experience on the new program.
It's funny because when I was first told about this new program, I was like, gosh, why couldn't I have done that? Because I am a character design student and I've done a lot of practical skills in makeup. When I submitted my portfolio, I had put in a lot of different skill sets that I had, such as Paul and Liam would know, I'm very interested in the digital and what digital can bring. So I was doing a lot of digital drawing at the time. And I decided to input that into my portfolio. And now I'm going into my 4th year And although I'm a character makeup design student, a lot of my practice actually revolves around digital painting and digital sculpting to actually communicate my design process and ideas and communicate my characters, especially as given my current situation right now, I cannot actually do makeup, but I feel like even if I could, my particular situation. So the idea of like merging these programs, I think even just with the coming times and as technology is changing, is really, really, really important. So I'm very jealous.
Yeah, so it's I suppose that's a great insight into, you know, what paths are available, because there is somebody who's using, you know, concepting skills in both ways, digital and physical, and that's one of the key aspects of this program, and even, as I say, the previous programs as well, certainly model making, 3D design, is that blending of both things, of physical and digital, because they're all just tools for creativity, and students need to harness them to bring the best out in their own work, you know. Sally, would you have, I'm not familiar, unfortunately, with your program, the work, really, would you have a few words to say, or?
So I am in my 4th year of production design, so set design. And similar to Saoirse, we kind of had to adapt to the current situation. So a lot of what I'm doing at the moment is done through Auto, and that is an architecture software that we use a lot in production. So rather than simply sketching our designs or even doing tech drawings, kind of like traditional way you have on a big desk and like use a scale ruler, we use AutoCAD, which is a way that we can design our sets in a kind of virtual space, but everything is accurate and to scale. So we can, in theory, design a set and then send the tech drawings off to a production company and they can build the set. And you can put you can put lighting into it, you can put textures, you can really create a space right up until like the last step, which would be building it. And so we do a lot of that in production, and we don't start that until 2nd year when we specialize and split into our separate streams. But I was someone, when coming into the course, I was quite nervous because I was like, I'm not very tech savvy and I think I'm going to struggle with this. But we were taught from the very beginning how to use AutoCAD as if we had no experience, and in my case, no experience, no tech graph, nothing. I tried doing Photoshop in 4th year of secondary school and I was hopeless. But when it came to 2nd year, we have Alan, who's great, and he teaches us how to do everything. And now it's come to 4th year, and even if it wasn't a pandemic, I think I would still have to do everything through AutoCAD because I just love working there. I feel like I can create anything. And yeah, I also wasn't too sure what the course was before coming into it. My understanding was it's like architecture, but things don't have to entirely work, which you learn when you do short films and you find out there's a difference between a window that opens and one that doesn't. If you never see a window open in a film, chances are it does not work. So that is something we learned through doing short films. But I remember seeing a behind the scenes documentary on RTE where they were showing how they did The Sound of Music in London. I thought it was interesting. So that's what got me interested in production design, and I tried to find a course somewhere in Ireland, and I was fortunate to find the one in IDT, and now I'm in the course and I love it. But like making a portfolio, I wasn't too sure what to put in it. I submitted to 8 different courses, and even when I showed up on the day of it, 8 lectures, they were like, we still don't actually know which course you want. So I went to production design, and I'm very happy I did that. Yeah,
great.
that is.
Can I just thank you, Sally. That's great. Very good. Great. Alexander, would you like to say a word about why you chose the course? Because why you chose model making, for instance, because that's one of the questions we have here.
Yeah, okay. Originally I wanted to do fine art, but then after like beginning my portfolio and like researching more about what courses are out there, I came across model making, and I found it really interesting because there's such a like a wide array of things you can do, and I really like the hands-on aspect of it. Even like in this pandemic situation, we still get to do all the hands-on at home at our desks, and it's nice because we have like weekly journals where we upload photos and what we're making, and we have like obviously our classes and calls where we still have that one-on-one time with the lectures, so I can really like go through our ideas and explain what we want to do. We recently just finished a project that was to make a chess set, and it was nice to talk about the ideas, because anyways, like it was nice to change the ideas because I started off with something and then I got to something else, but I wouldn't have figured out the second part without having this one-on-one experience with my lecture.
Thank you very much. I think that's an important point to reiterate. Thank you, Alexandra. That another thing that IIGT is very lucky to be able to provide and prides itself on is the amount of lecturing time that students get access to. I think it's something that IIGT is justifiably proud of, that it's not 600 people in a lecture hall 3 hours a week. It's a much more intensive studio-driven practice. Obviously, at the moment, not so much studio, but there you go. But it is. There's a lot of hours that students can get access to lectures, and that's very helpful. I'm just going through some of the other questions here. I think some of them are more particular questions, but just to quickly. So given this course is a modified combination of multiple courses, how competitive do you expect the applications to be? Nobody knows is the simple answer to that question. And what does a typical portfolio look like? Again, that's something that you will bring to the table. I think I wanted to take this opportunity actually just to ask Saoirse, Sally and Alexandra to explain or to give a verbal quick description of what they put in their portfolios. I think that might be very useful for students applying to the program. So do you want to go in order again, guys, and just give us a quick summary of your portfolio experience?
Yeah, so first of all, I didn't really know what designing was when I first did my portfolio. I think I gave a slight idea, but what I included first of all was how I communicate my ideas. So may that been drawing, I did a lot of life drawing. I'm very technical with my drawing, so I showed that skill set that I had. However, that's not necessary if you're able to communicate your ideas through other means, such as Photoshop or collage or sculpture. I think that's also perfect. I explored, I'm very interested in humans and what makes us tick. So I explored basically the 7 deadly sins and how that could manifest in people and cause a physical reaction. So I think it's really good to have a team, even though I'm not sure if the portfolio necessarily needs one, but I picked metamorphism. And then through that, I explored different things like aging as a form of metamorphism. And I did sculpture, I did photography, and I did just general drawings, paintings, different kinds of mediums to just kind of show that I was open to explore different mediums. And then, of course, having my notebooks to just kind of look at my process and my thoughts and my research. Probably could have used a lot more research. I'm very research heavy now, but just to look at how I was thinking about things and what I was doing. That was kind of my thought process towards the portfolio.
Great, very clear, thank you. Sally?
So with my portfolio, mine was a fine art portfolio. I do know a couple of people say in my course that they knew they wanted production, so their portfolio was very production focused, and both portfolios can do well. I wasn't entirely set on production at times, and at times considered something like model making, so I thought best to just show my skills. So I really liked life drawing and still life. So while I was in 6th year, I did a portfolio course on a Saturday, and for a couple of hours we were life drawing, still life, and on open days you're always told to work on your life drawing. It's one thing you just can't really fake. Like, even if you're not feels confident drawing people, we can all look at a drawing of a person, you can kind of look and be like, that doesn't quite look like how an arm should bend. So I recommend doing a bit of life drawing for anyone who feels like they could practice that a bit. Similar to Saoirse, I would have like a theme throughout my portfolio. I more did a collection of small projects and would have a theme running throughout that. And the nice thing about IDT not having strict guidelines is that you can kind of focus on whatever you want. I know that in my class, some people were going for NCAD and they're a bit more methodical in their portfolio, having the freedom that I could look at something and think, do I want to do a project, or do I want to do, I don't know, collage project? Do I just want to do an entire project based around tea, which I did for one of my things. One of my projects that I did was what would happen if tea bags and spiders were combined, because I combined the one thing I love with something I really do not love. So I looked at like crossbreeding, so if like lions and berries mixed, what would happen? And it was just something fun, and I liked that it didn't have to be serious. Yeah, so like I made a tea bag nest and tried to imagine what that would look like. So there was research in a sense behind it. Overall, I think you just need to show that you're enthusiastic with doing, because if you do get to talk to with lecturers, like when you hand in a portfolio, or if it's submitted digitally, if you do get to talk to them, they can tell when you're interested and when you're not. So you need to show that you have some kind of passion and that you at least enjoyed doing the project.
Great stuff, Sally. Thank you very much. Alexandra, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, similar to Sally, mine was more fine art based, and I actually did the project day for fine art, which is really good because I got to see a bit of the college and what the lectures are like. I felt really welcomed and more like easygoing after the project day. I did a lot of mixed media in my portfolio. I did embroidery. I did loads of mind maps to explain like my thought process, because I'm very visual, I'm not very verbal, but with mind maps, I was able to combine both so I can really get my ideas out there. I think it's important to do things you really enjoy. There's no point in stressing over like themes and stuff, because like once you just continuously like make stuff that you really enjoy and like, oh, this is what I like, at the end when you look at all your work, you kind of end up seeing a theme, or you end up seeing the connections, or even when you're doing your stuff and you see the connections, try and link them in. Because I started with a few different things, like I did clowns, and then I was like researching into leaves and then how clowns feel, and then somehow I ended up like combining them both and like making this clown with like a leaf outfit. But in the end, like you'll figure out some sort of theme. It's just really important to do exactly what you like and what you enjoy, and lots of mixed media as well to show all your skills.
It's very clear. Thank you, Alexandra. Absolutely. Yeah, don't force it. Just go with what interests you, what enthuses you, what makes you happy to do and create. I'm just going to quickly combine a couple of the questions here, just very quickly. So there's one about similarity between the fine art course, and then another one about yeah, well, that's really it. I mean, just to pick up on what Alexandra was saying, and Sally, that yes, many people will apply, for instance, with a fine art portfolio, will apply to fine art or could have done fine art, and will come to the programs here, and that's perfectly feasible. There's nothing wrong with that at all. The portfolio is an introductory letter to creativity, as it were. Do you know what I mean? You're just introducing yourself, you're saying who you are, and there's almost everybody in IDT could have done any of the programs. I think I'm almost convinced that that's the way it is. But what happens is you get enthused by the program you do engage with, and that's a great thing, and that's when the real excitement starts. Just to kind of go through a couple more here. There's a question about, question about costume design. Would anybody else like to hop in there?
Could you read that out, Julian? Because I've just got a bit of a problem seeing that panel. Sorry.
Apologies. Okay. Could we please hear more about costume design? What do you cover in the course, and different opportunities after you graduate? Thanks.
Okay. Well, in reverse order. In terms of what people do after they graduate, actually a really wide range of things around the business of designing, making, sourcing, putting together costumes. there is a lot of work and a lot of opportunity around film and television in particular. And you know, as anybody knows that kind of reads the papers, that, you know, pandemic to one side, Ireland is actually a fantastically busy country in terms of making film and television. So, you know, whether it's Vikings or Penny Dreadful or any of those other kind of multi-part dramas, there's a huge number of opportunities for people to get into that area of things. And some of the key costume staff are kind of out working on those things, as well as teaching with us. What does the costume program do? Well, the costume program teaches you, first of all, about what costume design is, what, you know, why do we have costume, how does it work, what's it for, what does it need to express and deal with, and then takes you through a whole range of technical and practical skills to be able to achieve it. Some of it is about you know, the real kind of nitty-gritty of reconstructing period costume, being able to do period tailoring, period dressmaking, those kinds of things. So if you are making a movie set in the 1890s, you know, you've got the skill set that enables you to, you know, source patterns, fabric, design the thing and put it together. The kind of design thinking across a lot of the pathways is quite similar, really, in that it's trying to help you to think conceptually about something, you know, to read a script or a text or a source material, to undertake some research and something that's going to help you generate ideas, and then to generate those ideas. Where the pathways differentiate is that the specific artifact that you're going to be focusing on and the technical skills that enable that artifact are discrete, they're particular according to the pathway. So for a costume designer, it'll be thinking about the people that inhabit the dramatic world that you're looking at. Be thinking about the period, the place that event happens in, thinking about the possibilities for clothing and costume that come alongside that, and designing something that really embodies the character of that individual person, and then realizing that costume. Working with actors, working with directors, choreographers and others in order to ensure that the thing is right. And sometimes it's about very fastidious reconstruction of a historical moment. And sometimes it's about something more kind of fantastic and extraordinary and invented. And, you know, all those possibilities are kind of regularly encountered. Yes, sorry.
Could I just add something in here that it's, we have previous in both of the programs that are coming together in establishing work placements, and that will be a key part of the third year program and the new program. So unfortunately for Saoirse and Sally, they were both supposed to go to the National Theatre of Croatia last year, and then the pandemic hit. But that would be something that we build in, and we're very committed to building in, is real world out there, working on sets, working on film, etc., as part of a credited kind of module. So I think that, you know, when students in the past have completed those modules, they come back with a kind of renewed, one, understanding of the workplace and the kind of professional place within that, and two, a kind of a whole load of networks and contacts that they can make to go in, because mostly these jobs are freelance jobs. And additionally, I think a kind of professional confidence and ability to understand that when they go out into the world after graduation, there's a world of work out there that can really be engaged with properly. So I think that that's kind of good to know. Just to add on to that, we do have Erasmus Partners, so it's possible for you to go for a term abroad to, at the moment we have Finland, Hungary, Croatia, and I think there will be others, model makers would have others. And we're always constantly building on those. And I do see a question about European students. As far as I understand, if you're a member of the EU, then there's no issue with access, as far as I know. So hopefully that just kind of adds to that.
Could I just add a very, very quick thing? Because one of the things that might have been a little bit behind that costume question, quite often, you know, people who come because they think they're interested in costume, they might also be interested in fashion. And that's a completely legitimate and reasonable place for your interest to stem from. And there are some similarities and some differences. You know, sometimes you are asked to design things and it's quite akin to a fashion designing process. I suppose one of the things to be conscious of with costume designers is, you know, the business of the reconstruction of a historical moment is often the business of a costume designer, wouldn't be the concern of a fashion designer. And also, you know, plainly fashion is a kind of idealized notion of something, whereas costume, deals with the particular realities of people in all shapes and sizes and dispositions. So, but often there's a common interest there. In the same way, to go back to Sally's beautiful description of set design as being, you know, architecture that doesn't work. They
Doesn't have to work.
Quite often, you know, set production designers they're interested in architecture and interior design and things like that. You know, so it's a multifaceted old thing.
Great. I just want to jump in there for a couple of other questions, just to make sure we're not missing any, especially Liam, as if you can't see them there. So I'm working as a set and design assistant at a theatre. Is it possible to add work to the portfolio that I've done for the theatre productions when I explain what was my part in it?
Yeah, great.
Sounds good.
Love to see that.
Should I annotate my pieces in my portfolio? There's 2 questions on that, and how would I communicate my research? All of your visual material that you supply should be, you know, should be tagged and titled and etc. And you can upload some text if you need to. You can photograph your sketchbooks with your phone, for instance, or scan it into a printer scanner. That kind of thing is great to see as well. So yeah, that's stuff. Work should be annotated. Quick question about the CV. What should the CV include? A brief summary of your history of interests and employment and engagement with education. It's not a focus really at all. It's not a focus. It's just an addendum, something that should be there just to tick a box. So, and then is there work placement? How much of the course is drawing and 2D related, and how much is physical, hands-on things like sculpture or physically making a costume? So I'm just going to jump in there and say it is absolutely a mixture of both, and there's no way to detangle either activity from the other one. If you're engaged, if you end up being a character maker, you're going to be doing drawing and planning and AutoCAD work, and the other way around, if you're doing 2D output, you're going to have done 3-dimensional work at some stage through the program.
There's one thing there about with the CV, lads, and annotating work. Well, obviously, with last year and this year, you will be presenting your work. It's pretty much literally like through a website base, and that's how we view it. And as Julian said, you can easily take photographs with your phone, or you scan it in. But there was a few things that I thought were really, really nice, and it sort of gives you an opportunity to let us know what's in your head rather than you writing it, which you can do in a CV, or you can tell us about yourself, but you could talk us through your portfolio. Some people actually did a video of their portfolio, and they actually talked to us why they were doing what they were doing, and it was a nice thing to be able to hear your voice along with your work, instead of seeing it cold. It was very nice to be able to, you know, hear the person and sort of hear how they tick. There's one question there. How many are we taking in? I think it's 45. Is that right?
Yep.
45 students.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's another question about, is this course continuous assessment or is it exam based? The structure is very simple. There's modules that you have to pass as components of every year. There's roughly about 4 a year, with additional components of critical and contextual studies and possibly other studies. So there's block components of 5, 10, 15 or 20 credit modules, all of which have to allocate to 60 credits a year. So that's how it is it is continuous assessment, but there are points of assessment presentation throughout the year.
I think it's just clear to say, though, sometimes there's a confusion. We don't do exams. No. We do assessments, but you don't have to do. Yeah. Written formal exams are a thing of the past. That's it.
You can put your leaving cert behind you. Nobody will be sitting at a desk. There's a one there that Sonia was saying. No, it's from Sonia. It's just saying that that we do accept the NCAD. The NCAD give a brief out, and it's a theme portfolio that they do. And do we accept it? Of course we do. But what I've seen a few people do, like you might be on a portfolio course, or you might have an art teacher who's that's a structure that they want to work with a whole class. But I've seen people do it in the past, and they sort of sidestepped it a little bit and used it themselves in telling what they want to tell, or in a direction that they want to bring it in. It is just a brief, that's all it is, and it's research, exploratory, but I've seen people actually, there was one particular girl who used it in a costume sense, and I make it unique to you. Of course we'll accept it. That's not an issue at all.
Absolutely. And there's another question here. Is there student workspaces on campus, or is everything workshop based? There are workshops, there are technical facilities of which IDT is justifiably proud. There are some high-end film spaces, there's all kinds of technical equipment available. There is space allocated to each student for them to make their work in during normal operation times. Obviously, in the current circumstances, we're all working off campus, but during the normal course of an academic year, yes, you will have a space and a desk to work at. You may be rotated through that space, you may be moved around, but you will actually have a working space in college, very much so. It's a studio practice model.
There's a question there, just to go back to it, of there's Alexandra, you might be able to answer this, but there's similarities between fine art and the courses that we're doing, but she would like, or the person, I don't know who it is, they're sort of mixed minds between fine art and design for film. What's the difference between fine art and the course that we're on? Why did you pick model making as opposed to fine art, Alexandra?
Well, you can still like apply to both, and especially you can see what points with your portfolio, which one you do better, because that kind of shows you maybe what you would be more suited to. But I preferred model making because I thought I really liked the design aspect of it, because we did a bit of like industrial design, and I don't think I would have been able to do that in fine art.
Yeah, I think just thank you, Alexander. I think to gather that up as well, there's fine art is, I would say, more in terms of an individual expression. There is certainly something about the design for film programs that are a mutual effort towards a common unified goal of creative effort, which is a film or a museum exposition or something. And that's how it differentiates itself. It is slightly more pragmatic, and in that regard, it's not just the art for the sake of artistic expression. It is tied to a related purpose in the end. But the portfolio is almost indistinguishable. The same qualities is what we're looking for from everybody: creativity, ingenuity. Sorry, Liam.
But no, actually, you just said it. I mean, we all start from the same place. Actually, we all start from that, desire to be creative and to make stuff, and to engage in that way. And we all have the same creative bone, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, in a film department, there is an actual art department, and there is an assistant art director and art director titles, which are perfectly viable jobs to get, and jobs that will be available having done this program, So, yep. So there we go. How many more? These questions are kind of hopping around the place, aren't they? Or is it my imagination?
No, I think the last one I have is the workspaces.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah.
Can I just stick something in, because that thing about workspaces coming up, and obviously the elephant in the room is the remarkably unusual year that we're going through. But I just wanted to say something. I mean, not to speak out of turn with the students here or anything, but actually, whatever it is about the people that apply to our programs, and whatever it is about the people we work with, this year has been really testing for them. I just kind of wanted to say, as Saoirse, Sally and Alexandra there, the way the guys have responded to this year and not being able to fully access the campus has been absolutely amazing. And, you know, I think that there's nothing common about the people who come and work with us. Actually, everybody's, you know, really remarkable and really different and really interesting. But what they do have in common is this extraordinary kind of resource and ability to make things work, you know, and to make things happen. And it's an absolute credit to them, the way they've worked through the last however many months it is of being off campus and kind of improvising their own studio spaces and work situations. So, you know, I think everybody's portfolio will be different. You know, I hope it will, and it should be. But I think what everybody who comes to study with us brings is just this kind of personal resource of, you know, kind of fiery imagination to want to get stuck into things and to want to make things happen. And it's, you know, it makes it a really kind of exciting place to teach, even when we're having to do it slightly remotely like this. It's a, you know, I think the thing I'd like you all to go home with tonight is to think actually IADT is a, you know, it's a really kind of vibey place actually, and a, you know, a place that's filled with interesting and committed people who want to make things happen, you know, theatre, film, television, art, whatever it is.
It's an astoundingly energetic and vibrant place when it's in full swing and coming towards the end of the year and people are generating their amazing visions of creativity. It really is a very powerful place, absolutely, and there's great energy around. We will get back to it. We will return to it someday.
And I suppose that's one reason why the program is set up the way it is now, in that IADT is, we have the film school, we have an animation department, and there are, like, the amount of times that, like, a costume person comes to me and they want to make a stop motion animation, or a model maker wants to go and make this beautiful prosthetic character. And so, like, it didn't make sense to keep everything separate. Let's share all the toys and have some fun together. And, like, if you with blending and mixing those things, they're, like, especially when I come from teaching first years a lot, and people might not be 100% sure that I want to do production design, costume, then, but if you have an inkling of that's the world that you want to go into, apply. Within the first year, you'll be exposed to all these sort of experiences, and the amount of times that somebody has come to me and said that I feel I actually now understand what production design is, and I really want to do it. And throughout the years, it's sort of sometimes it's morphed and changed, and I think Saoirse would agree with that. Like, as a character designer, well, why can't we design puppets? Whereas the whole mix of multi-disciplines, I think, look, there she is already. There's a question there about if I applied to multiple courses in IADT for the project day, do I only have to do one project day? Yeah. So what it might be is that what we did in the past was that different programs might want to have just a chat, or look at your work themselves, as in, if you're applying for fine art, they'll have a look at that and say, oh, well, we would grade that for fine art, and this is how much we would give for that. Or design for film program would grade it as well. So you might, on your project day, get different grades for your project day from the different departments.
But you'll only be doing project day. That's the that's what we did in the past. Yeah. I mean, basically, IADT is trying to give as much opportunity to people as possible to engage with their creative spirit and to come and study here. So absolutely, if you haven't had the time or the opportunity to build up a portfolio over a course of study, or to take time out, as some of the students do and did, and to do a portfolio course over the summer or over a year, just come and do the project days, and absolutely show us what you can do, and that's as brilliant a way as anything, So really all welcome. So there's a bit of a thank you there, brilliantly said. There you go. That was you, Paul. Thank you for sharing your insights. And
the one thing about the project day portfolio, doing a portfolio course, and I just been teaching first year a lot, and do not think that you're a fake if you're coming from a project day. Do not think that because a lot of people that come into the course we're all just starting from scratch. And I have had people who are unsure who have done a portfolio course. I have people who are so confident it's unbelievable and they're straight out of school. Whatever is right for you, that's the way that you should go. And if it is a portfolio course that you need to do, feel that you need to do it, or if you're confident that you feel that you can do the project day, do it. I've had secondary school kids who have spent all their spare time making a portfolio, and it's wonderful, and got straight in. So it whatever way you feel that you want to do it, put it in.
Absolutely. So there's another question there about the project day. When is the brief? Oh, seems to have disappeared again, but that's it. Sorry, Liam, you were about to say?
No, it's just the brief for the project is up on the website.
Yeah. So I was about to say, that's it. You get a brief on the website, and you can do that at any stage. You can engage with that, working it over time or whatever, but then you have to submit, you have to bring that in with you for the virtual workshop day, which is the midterm, and then you have to upload to the portfolio platform by February the 19th. That's the virtual project days. Yes. So
it's essentially two things, lads. One that you can think about and do, and then another one that you work with us sort of live, and we see both aspects of you. One that you can plan, and then one that you're sort of on your feet and seeing how you work.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, if you'd be visiting the campus in normal course of events, but this all has to be done virtually. So yeah, that's what the portfolio platform upload research day is about. So there's the bits that you need to know. So Sonia, do you think that's that? I don't know. Is that, there's no more questions coming in, I think. So
yeah, I don't see any more questions coming in there, guys. And everybody stayed with us for the whole hour, which is fantastic, or over an hour. And I think, yeah, just a reminder that tomorrow evening at 5 we have a portfolio masterclass with the head of faculty for film art and creative technology. So join us for that, and we'll have some student ambassadors on that talk as well. And we also have a graphic design talk on Thursday. So you're more than welcome to join us and pick up any tidbits for that as well. So there's plenty before the deadline this weekend.
Great stuff. I think it's a good opportunity to say really profound thanks to Saoirse, Sally, and Alexandra. Thank you very much for coming along, taking your time out to help us out here, to invite new people in to have the same experiences that you've had. And yeah, great. Thank you very much. Unless anybody else has anything to say.
No, it's just lots and lots of thank you.
Go on, Alexandra, go on.
Go for it.
Oh, the difference between fine art and design for film would be fine art is more conceptual and like you go through ideas, while design would be you take those ideas and you physically make them, finalize them. I didn't fully explain what I wanted to say. I don't think it made sense what I said.
Perfectly clear.
Perfectly clear.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you were perfect the first time too, so don't worry about it. We heard you perfectly.
Absolutely. Brilliant, brilliant.
Okay, so I'm going to end the webinar. There are just plenty of thank yous there, and so well done, everybody.
Thank you, Sonia, for hosting this.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem.
Brilliant.
So,
Okay.
so this has been the most favorite one of the webinar so far, lads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
along with animation, it says you left that bit out.
Oh, sorry, I skipped that bit.
But that's his biggest guitar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Liam's
we
gonna
never
break-
got around.
Oh,
We never got
let's
around to
go.
singing the Institute song. We'll do that now.
You have to be over 18, do you?
Yeah, big time,
Definitely.
yeah.
Over 80. More like.
Okay.
All right. That's it, lads.
Bye.
See you
Thanks.
guys.
Bye.
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 How the hell do you get out of this one?